UFL football fans, and most importantly, United Football media fans. This is the best damn football recap and spring football news show going. It is United Football Media's Tell Me About It. We are back and better than ever. It is me, Eric, up here from the caneswear.com command center. It is my man Josh from the Brahma bullpen down there in the cow pasture getting it done. He is a loyal soldier, as you can see from that hat. He got the violin and he's up on the deck of the Titanic. It don't matter. Going down with it the whole way. Gentlemen, it's been an honor. That's what he says to his fellow 90s Cowboys fans. A lot of stuff going on. It was kind of quiet last week in the world of spring football. And a little bit quiet right now, but man, this week is the quiet before the storm because, well, we expect that October is going to be wild with spring football news. We're kind of here to give you a primer about all of the stuff that's supposed to be going down in October. Kind of give some thoughts of some things that we find interesting. Something that did not happen this week and kind of concerning to me that not only did it not happen, but there was really no acknowledgement of it and no official announcement, no official word. It feels like after Rapoli came in and started kind of throwing all these claims around that a lot of things have had to kind of, be backed off from. Not a lot of official communication anymore on all these dates that were set. I don't know if they feel like they're in a bind where they just want to be quiet for a little bit and stop. And because I think a lot of things got thrown into flux once Rapoli came on and they started rejiggering what they want to do with the business plan and the markets and all that. And I think it threw a lot of things off and they don't want to put concrete dates on themselves. All that said, the revised UFL draft date was supposed to be this week. Tuesday. It had been revised from the beginning of September to September 23rd, and it didn't happen. Just in case any of you were wondering, you didn't hear anything about it. It didn't happen. No official announcement. It just didn't happen. The rumor right now, we saw it James Larson, PFN, is that it's going to be mid to late October is when the new draft date will be happening. Again, no official announcement. So we'll see on that. That is on top of Rapoli saying that the new markets should be announced by the end of the first week of October. And also, what we've been told, UFL legit free agency for the first time since the league has existed. Going to be early October, for probably the second week of October, probably around the same time we hear about the markets. And there's a lot of interesting names that go with this new rule of how the free agency is going to work. And and interesting enough, outside of just the names, a lot of the big teams, like the big, foundational franchises, they have a ton of free agents, a ton of star players on free agency. DC Defenders, St. Louis Battlehawks, to name a couple, and the Birmingham Stallions are three teams that from looking at, I don't have the actual numbers, from looking at the list, seem to have the most people unsigned and in the free agency pool. So you're talking about three major, teams that have competed in the championships the last few years, between the Battlehawks, the Stallions, and the Defenders. The Panthers, the other championship participant, doesn't have quite as many, but the only one that matters, Bryce Perkins, is on that list as a free agent. So that is also interesting. It's interesting where some of these guys might go. It's interesting. I don't know. I'll ask you what your opinion is. I feel like the assumption is that a lot of them are going to end up going back to where they were at, just because of familiarity with the system, familiarity with the coaches. But no, because they're bringing back Shannon Harris at the Defenders, so that's not a question. Some of them, I think that would be the assumption, but we don't know, and we don't know what the new situations are going to be. For instance, the Battlehawks, who's playing quarterback? because Manny Wilkins is on this list. Is he even going to be back from the injury? Brandon Silvers is on this list. Akeem Butler, Ja'Cour Pearson, Sailors is in the NFL. DC Defenders, Jordan Tiamu is on this list. Mike Diallo is on this list. Abram Smith is on this list. Chris Rowland is on this list. Ty Scott is on this list. So just that right there, that's their entire offensive nucleus outside of their other running back. And then the defensive side of the ball, you're talking about all of the stalwarts for the defenders, for the defending champions. Derek Roberson, Malik Fisher, Momo Sanogo, Anthony Hines, DeAndre Baker, all of them in this free agency pile. I know they're all very tight with Blake Williams. I think there's a good chance he's back as DC. So maybe those guys will be back, but that's like that's the majority of the stud players for the defending champions. Like we said, the Panthers got Bryce Perkins in the group. The Roughnecks, they got their quarterback back. It looks like that's good. Roughnecks look pretty solid as far as who they're bringing back. The Showboats, whatever they end up being called, and wherever they end up emanating from, probably the most interesting one out of all of them for me is Jonathan Adams, the highlight reel receiver who burst on the scene last year, is in the free agency class with an opportunity to get out of the pit of misery that is the Memphis Showboats. So I'm interested to see who makes overtures to him, what goes on with that. The Stallions, Jamar Smith, I think, is going to be back as quarterback, but then that puts Matt Corral.
Yeah, Smith is signed already.
Okay, yeah, he'll be back. So why would Matt Corral go back there? He wouldn't. I don't think Matt Corral's in the UFL to be a backup. I don't know. There's a team down there in South Texas that needs a quarterback. That might be kind of interesting depending on the system and the coach. Matt Corral's going to be on the free agency. It's going to be interesting where he chooses to go. CJ Marable, Ricky Person, Amari Rogers, Deion Kane, Jay Sternberger, all names that you're very familiar with the Stallions offense. And then I got the list for the Brahmas here. The Brahmas are not super decimated by this initiative, but you probably have some thoughts on the guys that they do have. John Trey Kirkland's on there, and he had a down year last year, but he was a stud the first year. So I think that's another interesting free agent that's on the market. Jordan Williams is on there. Devontae Beckett is on there. Jordan Mosley's on there. Bunch of stars, man. So let's see. What do you think? Free agency, obviously, first and foremost, what's going on with the Brahmas?
So first of all, the Brahmas have 0 players on their roster at the moment. The only actual Brahmas footballish related person that is even remotely connected to the team right now because of the changeover with the head coach is the general manager, Mark Lillibridge. So there are no Brahmas players signed. And I believe the only teams that actually have players signed on the books at this point is the Showboats, wherever they wind up being, the Roughnecks, and Birmingham. I don't think, and unless I missed it, I don't think any of the other teams have actually physically signed a player. Those 3, I know for a fact, all have at least some players signed. As far as the Brahmas, the way this is going to shake out, this is a crazy free agency because NFL free agency, it's players go get where they can get the most money and where they fit. Okay, well, that's not the deal here because everybody gets paid the same. So the most critical part is who's the general manager, what relationships they have, who's the coaching staff going to be, the head coach, defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, position coaches, what relationships they have. And then I actually think that one of the biggest factors of this free agency market is because it's not money driven. It's going to be, where's your homeboy at? Where did the dude I played with in college, or did we play together last year with the Brahmas, or did we win a championship 3 years ago in the XFL with the Renegades or whatever? You know what I mean? That's what's going to control the free agent. You want to play with your homeboy. Did you go to college and last year one of you were on the Brahmas and the other one of you were on the Renegades? But this year with free agency, you guys get together over a beer and say, hey, well, you want to play for Arlington or you want to play for San Antonio? Well, I like the San Antonio uniforms better. Of course, obviously the general manager is going to be signing the contracts and the coaches are going to have some say in it. But realize that, even when I had the opportunity to talk to general manager Mark Lillibridge on this topic, he said at this point he's got full control of the roster. We're supposed to have the rookie draft and no players have been signed. I can only go say, because what I know about Little Bridge is he's a class act stand-up guy, and he's probably purposefully avoiding signing players right now because he doesn't want to start picking out groceries before the cook shows up, to quote a Bill Parcells saying from back in the day when he was with the Cowboys and dealing with Jerry Jones's nonsense. Sorry, I almost got into a rant. But anyways, for the players we want, like if I was to say right now, no brainer who we want back playing in the dome is definitely the linebackers you mentioned. Top 2 linebackers, definitely top duo. Both of them probably in top 5 linebackers, especially in productivity, but just overall linebackers for the league since its inception. In Jordan Williams and Tavante Beckett, we definitely want Jashawn Corbin back. He is very close to making it to an NFL team. Didn't quite make it there. I personally have a fondness for Alize Mack and Jontre Kirkland. Both of those guys are dogs. I love both of those guys. I'd love for them to come back. My boy Savion Patton, can't leave him out. That guy's the ultimate team player, and everyone loves him in the league. Everyone loves him in the locker room. All the coaches love him. All the fans love him. I mean, Savion Patton and Tavante Beckett are just the 2 classiest outgoing. Everyone's classy and outgoing, but those 2 guys take it to another level, and the fans love them down here. So if you're a new coach coming in, I'm going to tell you right now, you can buy yourself some good graces by bringing a couple of those guys back. So, but we'll see who comes there. Quarterback is definitely where we look. If Kellen Mond wants to come back, I'm 100% support that. You guys know I'm a Mond supporter, but I also support other players coming in to the team that can bring that training camp competition.
I mean, you heard the list, man. It's a murderer's row. It's basically the top 5 quarterbacks in the league are in this pool. Matt Corral, Jordan Tiamu, Bryce Perkins, and Luis Perez. I don't know if he's going to play next year. He was on the list as well. It's an interesting it's an interesting situation, the combination of players, because as of right now, I feel like the Brahmas coaching situation is probably the most up in the air out of all of them.
Totally up in the air. 100% up in the air, yes.
So if you bring in an interesting offensive mind, possibly, you could pick and choose kind of some badasses from this group and get them in. You could end up in a situation where you got Bryce Perkins, Abram Smith, and Jonathan Adams all coming to one team. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the last year's MVP, the year before that's MVP, and then the playmaker that emerged on the scene. There's just a lot of opportunities, a lot of crazy combinations that could come down out of all of these guys that are going to be available. And this is before we even know what's going to happen at the end of this NFL season, what players are going to come in, who's going to get drafted to these groups.
It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see like how they began the selection or begin the negotiation, I guess, if you would say, because there's not really negotiation for the free agent players, but how do they decide? Is it just going to be like,
who's the priority? What's the
500 players in a room at one time and just, you start yelling? Or is it going to be like, here's a list, we're going to take turns. You pick yours, I pick, almost like another draft. I mean, we don't even know that stuff yet, but it's going to be interesting, man. And like you were saying in the lead up, when the action does start for spring football, it's going to be wild and it's going to be unique. And it's, going to be something off season for the fans to enjoy and get hyped or get pissed about their future team, what it looks like. It's going to give us that whole feel, man. So it's going to be awesome. Get the draft and get these free agents going. It's going to be great. But totally agree with you. If we could grab one of those, the Birmingham Stallions have like 3 QB1s at one point, depending on injury and stuff.
4, 5, 6.
I don't even know how many quarterbacks actually had over there that have loyal fan base followings and nicknames because they've won so many games over there in different years. But yeah, it'd definitely be cool to get some competition in there. I personally, if I could wave a magic wand, I would want Kellen Mond back. I don't think he necessarily got a complete fair shake. New offense, new scheme, a lot of stuff, changing with offensive coordinator, head coach and change. For those that play ball, and even in the NFL, you're seeing it right now where players are switching offensive coordinators. Look at C.J. Stroud in Houston, okay? Last year he was the next Tom Brady. Like they were already starting to count down the days to his Hall of Fame induction. And then you get to this year where it's like, You get to this year with it and nothing. And what's the thing that changed? Yeah, they lost an O lineman, a really good O lineman. They have some issues up front there, but the biggest thing that changes is offensive coordinator. You know, that gel, that vibe, that the training camp time, man. You don't get a whole bunch of training camp time, but knowing why your offensive coordinator is calling this play, knowing what he wants you to do, and understanding that he's probably calling this play now so that in 2 plays he can call this play and start setting up the other team's defense. These guys are all talented, man. This is not like high school where your guys can be faster than the other guys. And I think people discredit the amount of time and the sheer benefit of training camp. And then to have that play caller that you spend all training camp in the first week or 2 of the season figuring out each other's philosophy, desire, setups, and all that, just to have it yanked out because of whatever happened in an office somewhere or whatever. But it's crazy, dude. So I really do think it was a big deal. So I don't think he got quite a fair shake. And I saw you make a face when I said that, and you might think I'm looking through maroon glasses, but you and I are both sitting here in Cowboys gear, and you got Miami's Dolphin stuff in the background there. So we have to look at the world through our rose-colored glasses.
I guess those are the glasses you got to get out in those situations. One thing that we're hopefully not going to be looking through rose-colored glasses on, it's going to be, and it seems so far, the legit of the legit. Maybe something else for us to invest into. Continental Football League coming along, getting ready to set up its operations. I got an exclusive interview on Brahma Bullpen podcast. You guys should go look it up. United Football Media page right here where you're at. Go check out the Brahma Bullpen for the full interview. You interviewed some brass for the Texas Syndicate.
Yeah.
The team that's going to be running things down there in Texas. Maybe there'll be another one. Yeah. Continental Football League, you've been in touch with some of the leadership. Give us the highlights, man. Give us your thoughts. This league coming up. Not going to be another IFA situation. Hopefully nobody be out there duct taping numbers to the backs of their jerseys, anything like that.
Yeah, there's none of that. That IFA, Gabe, what did they call that scrimmage up there?
Showcase.
Oh my goodness. That thing
it was a showcase, all right.
Showcase. That thing by itself is causing lawsuits. Just that thing. Not even like everything else the league's done. And by the way, my article that I wrote on the IFA is still on BrahmaBullpen.com about the players and all the crazy stuff that happened there. And it's getting tons of reads. So my most viewed article ever, by the way. So if you haven't had a chance to read it, go check it out. But this league, the Continental Football League, is not the same. So if a little bit of history, a lot of the good people that were originally part of the IFA, and I don't even know all of the history. I just know the little pieces that I was able to be part of. For the San Antonio Caballeros, we're going to be part of the IFA, to what's happening now with the Texas Syndicate as part of the Continental Football League. A lot of the good people that were involved in that and are also now involved in this, and it's kind of a transition. But if y'all remember the Ohio Valley Ironman, they actually were one of the success stories. They got on the field, they played games, the players were happy, they were taken care of, their paychecks didn't bounce.
They got paid.
They got paid. Can you believe that?
That is 99th percentile stuff there for spring and summer football, baby.
Yeah, and it's a community. Here's the thing, too. They talk about community, like, and all the details are not out yet, but I can tell you that these will be a community-driven team. So if you're part of this alternative football world and you really want to get involved and kind of help out, I don't know the exact number, but I know that the Ohio Valley Ironmen were owned not by a single entity. There was obviously a majority owner, but there was hundreds of people that bought in to help fund that team, and they kicked the crap out of a bunch of people. I don't know if y'all remember, they played one team, and I think it was 70-something to 0, and they finally called the game or whatever. So they're well-structured, well-trained, well-coached players.
Well, weren't they the team who's they had to cancel the rest of their season because nobody would play
them? Nobody would play them. The model was successful. So now they're taking that model and that same group, and they're moving it to 8 teams. I got to interview Quincy Workman, who is the owner / CEO / do all be all for the Texas Syndicate. It's going to be a Central Texas-based team, and I'll give you a little deal. So the Ohio Valley Ironmen, they play in West Virginia. They're not in Ohio. right? So that's one thing. The Ohio Valley covers like 6 or 8 states, and so they're trying to be a regional namesake. So here in Texas, the Texas Syndicate, it's not called Austin Syndicate. It's not called Pflugerville San Marcos Syndicate. It's called Texas Syndicate, and it's supposed to be the Central Texas, that Austin area centric deal. And if y'all remember the AAF, one of the things that made them successful was regional allocation of players, where they said, hey, if you went to these colleges, these are the teams that have your rights. Now, they're not going to do it on that scale, but what they are going to do is focus their recruiting. It's almost going to be like recruiting for college, but for pro leagues, they're going to focus on their recruiting in their area. So if you're a high school player and you don't get a chance to go to college, or if you're a college player that stayed at a small town, stays, in that area, or even if you played, say, at UT Austin, but you're from Waco or wherever you're at, and you didn't make the NFL, those are the players that they're going to try to get on these teams. So there's more regional connection. One of the things that made Kellen Mond exciting for me for the Brahmas was he was from San Antonio, played high school ball here in San Antonio, played college ball in College Station, which is 3 hours from here, and then bam, he comes back to be our savior, hopefully next year. But anyways, they're gonna do that. It's gonna make the league successful. Then the other part of that is, it's going to be one of those leagues where they expect roster turnover every 2 years, and this is a direct quote from Quincy Workman. If you want to play for them for a long period of time, this is not the league for you. This is a league. It's almost like, and these are my words here based upon my interviews, this is almost like a trade school for professional athletes in football. You didn't make it in college, you didn't want to go to college, or something happened and you need more training to get to the next step and play pro ball. This is like a 2-year stop for you. You're going to come in, you're going to work your butt off for 2 years. The slogan for Texas Syndicate is Unite the Hustle, meaning the coaches got to hustle, the players got to hustle, and the fans are going to have to hustle. It's not going to be just free ride for anybody, realistically. And what they're going to do is, while you're also going and working out and training, they're going to have you taking financial literacy courses. Why? So that when you do get your first contract with the UFL, the NFL, wherever you wind up going, you're going to be better prepared to take that money and do something smart with it, so you can set yourself up for years down the road. Financial literacy. Also, they're going to be focusing on mental health. These are things that Quincy Workman, for his team specifically, are saying are going to be part of the regiment. The other crazy unique idea we got to talk about is, you're going to play ball during the summer league. It's a summer league. So after UFL, before college and NFL, summer league. They actually have the schedule out already on their website, not necessarily where they're playing, but they got dates already kind of lined out, which is crazy because we don't even have that for the UFL, and it's a much more established league. But they're going to have their select core players, maybe 5, 6, 8, whatever it winds up being, maybe one core leader for each position group that's going to be the vet, but they're actually going to be full-time year-round team employees. So whereas, say you got a 53-man roster, we're going to have 10 men as our core. So we're going to change 43 people out every year, but I'm have the 10 core leaders. Obviously, you would say probably your quarterback would be one of those, probably your middle linebacker, probably maybe your center or someone else on the O-line. You're going to have that core guy that's going to be full-time employees for the league. Then every year have this turnover of players, and they do not want players that do not have ambitions to move up to the UFL and move up to the NFL. And yes, you heard me correct. These guys 100%, and they don't even view it as a fan might view it as negative. They view it as their niche in this market to be a league to prep you to go to the UFL, which also sounds cool for me as a UFL guy and as a Brahmas guy and as a United Football Media guy covering alternative football leagues. You basically get a trade school, on the job training, however you want to label it, to start moving your way up. And those are the players you want to focus on. So I don't necessarily think we're going to see a lot of 30-year-olds in this league. I think you're going to see a lot of those 23, 24s guys that by the time they're 26 or so are ready to take a UFL job from another player, or even get themselves up to the NFL. So it's like this crazy cool concept. And then there's the other piece that I alluded to is players, theoretically, fans at some point will be able to invest in the league at some point, and we'll see what that looks like coming down the line. And I'll end it on this. I think some of the alternative football leagues fail because they try to get too big too fast, or they go into it with grandiose expectations. These are a group of guys that have already been part of a league that came in to be summer league on its own, that failed, and they saw what didn't work, and they took those things that didn't work and they threw them in the trash can, and they did not bring them with them. I.e., I don't think they'll be stranding players in Mexico, is what I'm trying to say. So it's pretty good, and I'll end it on this. If you're still here and you're listening to me rant about the Texas Syndicate, United Football Media, we're going to do our best to cover that. UnitedFootballMedia.com. There will be written content on the Continental Football League, and obviously we'll have our podcast and all that stuff. So it's going to be there. But I really do think this league has a chance to succeed, and they got a good group of guys in front of them, and we're going to do our best we can to help them with that.
Hell yeah. United Football Media is here for it, just like we were trying to be for other leagues that didn't end up panning out so great. Speaking of things not panning out so great, whatever. You don't got to go there. You got any other football thoughts going on right now?
Well, hold on. Where did you want me to go? Where did you want me to go? I mean, it's just the two of us.
Wasn't sure if you were going to do some Cowboys discussion here.
Oh man,
the A&M season's going pretty good. How about that damn game against Notre Dame? Right, we haven't recorded since that. You were all hyped up and ready to go.
Let me tell you something.
That Notre Dame game was wild.
I told everybody that asked me, when they asked me, I have a lot of non-football friends that know that I'm all up in it. So they casually and leisurely asked me, hey, how the Aggies going to be this year, right? My answer up until last week was, wait until the Notre Dame game, and then I'll have an opinion. Until then, I'm just hanging on. So I'm going to tell you this about the Notre Dame game. Our offense, it has been a very long time since I've seen an Aggie offense drop 40 points a game. Okay? It's been Johnny Manziel time. Kellen Mond had a great run here, but Johnny Manziel, I haven't seen an offense this prolific since Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, Ryan Swope, and all those hog leg receivers we had back in the day. But we got these two portal guys, Carver and Concepcion, and Reed is just living on the deep ball right now, dropping dimes out there, 40 points a game. So I'm very excited. I will tell you, I'm not going to go to the level of conference championship game or playoffs yet until I see our defense do what I feel they need to be doing. We're getting ran on quite a bit. So if we can play this game, if we can play Auburn and hold them to the same productivity as Oklahoma did this past weekend.
I was about to ask you, what do you think, man? This is the big one. This is a good test this weekend. I don't think Auburn's better than Notre Dame, though. So
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to hold them to less points and still score 40. So if we can keep them in that 20 range and we can get in that 35 range, I'll be pretty happy. Then you might hear me start talking SEC championship, which would be amazing.
A little bit greasy.
Heck yeah.
What's the biggest? So it don't got to be. You don't got to go down the negative road if you don't want. What so far NFL season? Right, we're 3 weeks in. What defines the NFL season to you so far? Like, what's the biggest thing that you've taken from the biggest thing that sticks out to you so far in the NFL season?
I'm going to tell you the biggest thing that actually stepped out for me is, man, there's been some injuries to a lot of talented key players all around the league, and you hate to see that. But you also like to see the new guys getting a shot, and you like to see how teams can cope with that turmoil that comes up throughout the season. To take it back to Cowboys talk and Dolphins talk, I know you got the Dolphins show that pregame show every week leading up to that.
Sir.
We don't want you to give us all your Dolphins takes here, but a crazy stat: the worst team in the league on defense is the Miami Dolphins, and the second worst team is the Dallas Cowboys. So neither one of us are scared to represent during off season.
So I was going to ask. This is a little bit of a carryover from DAR.
Yeah,
because we have this long-term Caleb Williams thing going on with Tay. Caleb Williams is Tay's guy. And the Bears are going to win the NFC North, and they're going to do all this stuff. My co-host from DC Defender Show, will hopefully get him on here at the early times. Is the eulogy? Everybody had the eulogy for Caleb Williams' career, like ready to go. And then this weekend is a revelation. They go against the Cowboys. Go Buck Wild. The Ben Johnson system is working. Caleb Williams looks like he's played football before in his life, unlike all the other games he's played. So was that a case of Caleb Williams encountering his slump buster, or is this fool's gold?
Look, I'm going to tell you about it right now. If you play fantasy football, I'm going to tell you about it. If you play fantasy football, right, grab whatever quarterback off the waivers that's playing the Cowboys, or start whatever quarterback you have on your roster that is playing the Cowboys all year. What did Russell Wilson do to us? That guy hadn't passed for 400 yards in years, and he just lit them up. And then you look the best defensive performance the Cowboys had against a quarterback was Jalen Hurts, week 1. Think about that.
It's because he didn't throw the ball.
Yeah, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to, right? So that's the thing.
So to put that in perspective, real quick, Russell Wilson went off on y'all and then was benched 2 weeks later.
Yes. So it's false gold on Caleb Williams, man. The Cowboys defense will make any quarterback look good.
Well, there we go. We hope to make any spring football league look good, or as good as we can. Some leagues, leave people stranded in Mexico and tell them to go partake in.
Can I get your opinion on something?
Yeah.
Players at a showcase wearing a jersey that's not logo, that obviously was bought at Academy, so it's literally like the jersey you'd buy for your peewee nephew. But here's the part with duct tape with the numbers on it. Tell me, man, you played ball. You go into somewhere to play in a showcase, and they hand you a uniform and say, "Here's the duct tape. Put whatever number you want."
I don't care. I'll go out there and whoop ass. That ain't gonna bother me one bit. I am here to participate in some legalized assault. Thank you very much. But what do you know anything about what that lawsuit even like? What? Like I get it was JoJo. I get it was it was all jacked up. But like what exactly?
It's the same story. It's the same lawsuit. It's promises by the team not being honored, and that could be financial. It could also be player health related type items.
I figured, player health.
There's also some stuff going on with just pure like hygiene, man. Like it's crazy to see the stuff that is going on, but it's all dollars and cents. And it's not a pay to play league. But what's happening is with the IFA is players are traveling, they're bringing their own gear, they're bringing their own cleats, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The problem with it is when the league is trying to pretend like they're a legitimate league.
That's not the case. Yeah, I got
that has this stuff for you, and then you get there and you don't have it, and then you're balancing as a player. Do I want to go put my health on the line for an opportunity to get some film? Here's the crazy thing: some of these players went over there for one promise. They wanted game tape. They said, "Hey, dude, I already know what you did here, and I already know what you did there. I will come, but I want some game tape." And the league says, "We're going to get you game tape." They didn't even provide these players the game tape. They didn't even have enough courtesy to take the YouTube link that they had streaming the game on, which had like random music pop up in the middle of nowhere. Like
there was no commentary. It was just nothing. It wasn't even a sports page, YouTube page. It might as well have been broadcasted on DAR, sports media.
Exactly. Didn't even sit down and clip it. Like if I was I'll use a random. If I was a quarterback, I'm using a random position. I'm a quarterback. You promised me game tape. They didn't even have the decency to clip 2 or 3 plays that 2 or 3 throws I made to showcase my arm. They just said, "Well, there's the link online. You can go clip your own stuff if you want."
Hey, if you guys are out there and you've been victimized by the IFA, I'm pretty handy dandy with clipping stuff and editing stuff. I'll clip your stuff for you, no problem. That's crazy, man. Well,
Crazy.
I know one brand who's going to be coming through on the things that they say a lot better than that, and that's the United Football Media. It's going to be a wild, wild month. You guys bear with us, please, especially on Tell Me About It. I think you're going to see a lot of chopped up segments where I've got to jump back on here and record a last minute segment because something insane happened, and then it'll pop over and have the whole crew on the next part like we had a couple times over the summer. It's going to be a lot of that going on, I think. It's going to be a wild, wild month of news in October for the UFL. We're excited, and then, of course, we'll keep you updated on what's going on with the Continental Football League and our connections over there. It's a lovely thing, and of course, the top stories going on in every other football league. It is because this is United Football Media, and it is because this here is Tell Me About It.